what am I up to this time? Well, there is an electric transformer from Walthers, another kit. They suggest this would make a good flat car load, in other words, on a bolster wagon or something. We're not going to do that. No, no, no. Hello there. Another project. Yeah, I've been thinking, you know, the London Underground, everywhere you look, there's cables. I've never understood why you need so many cables and why it is that other railways don't seem to have them. Now, I'm sure they do, or they run them somewhere else, I suppose. But as you go along the Underground, you will always see stuff. Here's a lovely rural scene with an underground train. Yeah. You are kidding me, right? Well, there are lovely picturesque signal boxes. There's one or two places I could take you. But mostly, where there's 4 rails, there's a big old mess. And I think we've got room here, or somewhere here, for a substation. We've already got a junkyard over there, but that's kind of rural. But instead of just country fields with underground trains plodding through them, how about we put a substation here or there? I don't know how big it is, but we'll get it in there somewhere. I mean, we could put it there, couldn't we, instead of that shed? We'll see. We've also got a radio station to build. So today, we're building a couple of kits. We'll see what happens. My nephew said, paint them first. I thought, well, I don't know what colour to paint them. And they're grey already. So I think I'm going to put it together and then have a look-see. All right, come on, let's have a go. Well, if I can find the base part, I wonder why it's called cornerstone. Well, this is interesting. Why? Oh, it's a series probably, is it? I didn't see the cornerstone branding under the Walthers name. It's HO, so it'll be a little bit under scale, but that's all right. These industrial things really are a bit that way. It's saying number 5 looks like the base. Let's turn this over. Unusual instructions. Put it together. See if you can find the bits, I think it's saying. All right, so there's a number 5, which is... Oh, I see. The number 5 is the base. Let's see if we can find that. Do they have numbers on them? They do. Well, their number 5 doesn't have holes in it. Mine does. Let's cut it out with a knife. Here we go. We have to go and then clean up the edges, don't we? I learned that the other day. Sandpaper isn't a good idea. It makes the rest of it rough. Right. Well, if that's the footprint with bits around it, let's go see where that goes. Well, that's not quite true, because that would be the footprint of that bit, presumably, would it? Let's turn this over. No. Well, there's a few bits sticking on the side. Let's take this and see where it fits. Well, let's start there. Let's lift that out. Would it go there? I think it probably would, sideways on. Yeah. That might be a good spot for it. What if we had the up there as well? It might. It gets a bit close to the track. Wouldn't want to go the other way with it. Here. Yeah. Up against the sleepers. It's been put in after the line was lifted. You remember there used to be an engine shed. We're still playing along with that story. I think there. We can fence it then. So I think we're going to need to build the whole thing. We could bring it down this way even. Let's take those sleepers out of the way. Yeah. somewhere there. Let's build the thing and see. The idea is that we're going to make it look like the underground. Underground Eric, his video channel caught my interest. Seems like he's well onto things there. The little, what do you call them? Cable hangers. That's another 3D print job though, isn't it? I'm noticing on the video there, you see the little ding in the roof. I knew it was there, but looking at it, you don't see it. It usually looks more like that. But at certain angles, you really see that. Something fell on it or something. Righty-ho. You might remember I bought some aluminium wire. Aluminum wire, they call it here. Let me unravel just a piece of this. There you go. Now this stuff's interesting because it doesn't tend to kink. You see this kink in the end? It doesn't kink quite so readily as copper or steel wire would if it was at the same dimensions. And so you can put nice curves in it. You see that? And yet just a little tug and it's all straightened back out again. So this makes good wire for something like this, which is what I had in mind. It's a bit shiny is the only thing. So I have that handy. It's no good for electrical conductivity because you've got no way of connecting it. It just doesn't like being soldered. Right, let's get on with this, shall we? This must be the top for the same part. That's that bit. So we've got a 5 and a 4. We need a 1, 2 and 2 3s and a 9. All right, we can do that. I bet those bits are it, are they? That's a 1 right there. Well, I'm sure you don't need to watch me do a plastic jigsaw puzzle. So I'm going to get some of this done. Before I start gluing things, I'll come and have a talk to you. We'll give each other a bit of moral support. I had somebody say to me the other day, yes, but you're the expert. No, I'm not the expert. I'm Ian. It's just that I've shown you what I do. I've made the mistakes and you've watched. That's all it is. A lot of lovely ideas coming from you. I will just, while I remember, show you one. Now, I don't have the layout turned on tonight, but there's a couple of things going on here. This guy here is saluting, and this one's the military policeman, and there should be really a little guard shack there of some sort. So if I move the plane back just a bit, right there, just a little, I don't know what you call those things, a little stand-in thing, and it makes perfect sense. So yes, whoever suggested that, you're brilliant. Thank you. I haven't forgotten about the signal box. My wife came and saw it today. She's, well, it looks lopsided. Of course it does. I haven't put its skirt on. So we'll put a skirt on to level it up because it's standing on things, you see. I will eventually make it look right. I forgot to put the chimney on too. There's a few more videos than usual. I know that. There's different lengths, especially over the electrical stuff. Different lengths, different days, all that good stuff. I still try to put them up at the same time each morning. You'll have to let me know what kind of length you want them to be. Now, I don't know if that's supposed to be there or not. It doesn't look like it should. Let's cut it off. It's no more difficult. In fact, it's slight. I think it's always more difficult to make a shorter video because you have to think more, and there's a lot more editing, so more planning. That looks like it needs a label. Perhaps I should have left that piece on, should I? I don't know. It looks like a... I'll cut it off and then they'll say you should leave it on. Let me look at the finished picture. It's probably a lifting hook, is it? It was. Well, that's past tense. See, I'm making mistakes already. I'm thinking bits of the model that are actually bits of the model are flashing. I thought that was flashing, and it isn't. It has a lot of flashing on it. Flashing tells me... I went to a factory one time that made this stuff. They didn't do these little things. They were actually making shower bases, that sort of thing, injection molding. They were making cheap toys as well. So not dissimilar to this, I suppose. Now, what's this? 2 times 3. That should say 6, shouldn't it? And watching how they do it was fascinating. And you could tell the older molds from the newer ones by the amount of flashing, because the molds didn't quite go together right. I know that affects us in the model railway industry. I know people doing reviews. There's been quite a kerfuffle the last few days of one of the big review channels, but the people doing reviews will say things like, this is an old model, and some of the old models are fantastic, but as the tools, now the tools, the molds are called tools, basically. I mean, it's a little more complicated than that, but they wear out over time. They're made of metal, and they put this hot stuff in them, so they're constantly getting hot and cold, and the sharp detail wears away. So you can typically tell when you've got one of those. So now it says glue this lot together. Is it ready for shipping or in use? If in use, add the input bushings. Input bushings. What are they? Don't know. We'll just glue it together. Yeah, so these are the, I will say, these are the kinds of things that typically do get forgotten in modeling, because there's no nostalgia attached to a transformer, is there? I mean, for most people. For me, there would be. I never worked on the high power end of stuff. High voltage, yes, but not high power. So I was never a linesman or anything like that. But I was a ship's electrician, ship's radio officer, electronic engineer, those kinds of things. Man of mystery. You're finding things out about me every video, aren't you? People ask a lot, what do you do? Well, I'm an instructor for an airline, and teach crews specifically to work nicely together. And I still do a little bit of TV directing. I was doing that this morning. And a little bit of electrical work. So I'm a little bit of everything these days. But my real job is airline instructor, often teaching flight attendants to work with pilots. And as a result, I have to fly often. Yeah. Right, now there's that one, and that one, and that one. I think that's it. And then I'm missing the top, aren't I? Does it matter which way around the top goes? It says the 3 pointy bits go to this side. So this is going to get exciting, I'm quite sure. I'm going to glue it upside down. I've learned that lesson as well. Right, glue is coming out. You're going away for a little while. And we'll see what happens in a minute. I wasn't being rude or anything. You have to go away because the camera sits right between... I'm looking at things through the lens usually, and the camera sits between me and what I'm working on. So you often see me being a bit clumsy, and I can't afford to be clumsy with glue. So that's all it's about. There you are. Wasn't terribly difficult. I think it did all right. One of the things I like about plastic kits is you can put them together and they're done in no time. That took about 2 minutes. The dad joke of the day, why do Transformers hum? Well, you know the answer. It's because they don't know the words. All right. The reason they hum in reality is actually much more interesting. It's that the laminations in smaller transformers vibrating, and in bigger transformers it's the wires moving that make that noise. And we could demonstrate that. Putting a bit of current through a wire, and it will move because of the magnetic fields. Very fascinating. I say I didn't used to work on high power. Well, on DC ships, they used to have huge generators, and when we put those on the board, so they were turning and we synchronized and got them on the board. Well, that was alternators more, but when we put them on the board, the cables would move because they were suddenly high current. So I was only working with about, I don't know, 5,000 or 6,000 amps. That's all. Some of those things would go up much higher than that, but you're talking cables this round, and it actually matters how you put the crimps on the end. You can't use a soldering iron for that. I always worked on the control end, so on the alternators, how you synchronize them, and you had a 3-phase system. I'm talking too much, but it is why there are sets of 3 of these things on the top. Yeah, the whole transmission of electricity is a fascinating topic for sure. Right, now let's have a look. Oh, it's rather large there, isn't it? Well, it hasn't got its accoutrement on it yet either. We never used words like that. We use much ruder words. Not liking it there. It's a bit too close to stuff. Electricity has a nasty habit of jumping from one place to another when you least expect it to. If it were going there, those sleepers probably would have been taken up. But why not? I think somewhere there. So that'll work. And we run the wires down. I haven't decided which way around. And we run them around to the rails along, and then we're going to go up and over the top. You know how they do that with a gate, and we'll attach one to the rails with a bit of glue. Yeah, I think we're on to something. When I say that, my youngest son often says, yeah, you're on something, Dad, or you've been smoking that glue again. Yeah. Well, the only other thing left on this side is number 9. So I've got to find, it looks like a, see if you can, it looks either like, that looks like a piano, or the whole thing looks like a urinal with the flush tank at the top. So that's what I'm looking for. It really does in real life, much more so. There's the flush tank, you see. I'm not being silly, but this is the thing. You don't know whether that is flashing or not. Of course it is, but yes, I'm not a fan of flashy models. I've got some lay on my back and shove screws into the board above my head work to do later, and I thought I'd get this done while I'm still feeling as fresh as a daisy. Distraction for you. I have a new soldering iron. The old one can now be repaired. It is what I thought it was, just a couple of wires that have come off, but this one runs on a DeWalt battery. I'll see how I get on with it. But it does mean I don't have to drag it and extension cables all over the place. So the whole thing comes with me. Lovely. So yeah, feels about right. It's a bit fatter in my hand than the small pencil I usually use, and it's got a smaller end, but I'm sure it'll be right. A couple of things I don't like about it: the swipe pads very close to to the electronics. I think that's a bit silly. I would have put that on the side or on the front here. But yeah, I mean, it's very cheap. And of course, if you've got a bunch of DeWalt batteries kicking around, which I do, this is ideal. Link in the description. No kickback. I don't have affiliate links or anything. Just it's there. Now, this certainly would be a piece that would make sense to paint if you're going to paint it. Paint it before you glue it on, because it will be very difficult to do once it is. I think I might do that actually. Paint that piece. What colour am I going to paint it in? Well, the whole thing needs painting grey. But it is grey. Yeah, but you always end up with these places where you've got glue somewhere. I've already got it there, look. So some of it's bright, some of it's dull, and it's, yeah, I don't know. This would be a different colour. I can glue that on afterwards. There are better experts than I, but you can, I'm told, I used to know this stuff, work out voltage by counting the rings. What now? Yeah, well, it's all about distance. And these, they look more like that in real life. They have, they're usually made of glass. And you know what? I think there's supposed to be a pip on the bottom. I bet I'm cutting it off. We'll see in a minute. Yeah, there's only one with the pip now. That's just, yeah, I don't like that. I'll be more careful in future. But yeah, I almost thought that the round ball would be something that I needed to keep too. The higher the voltage, the more distance you need between the contacts. So the electricity doesn't flow through these; it comes in on the top. So that's where this stuff comes in. And of course, the wire isn't insulated; it's not black at all. Now, well, that does make me a little cross because I've made a mistake. But I'm human, so I can live with making mistakes. I've cut all the mounting lugs off, thinking they're flashing. That's the second time I've done that. So we've got the 6 big ones. There's a hole there for them. Now you see, here's the thing: all of that junk around there is flashing. Having now put that in, not thrilled about that. Got some cleanup to do. This is the sort of thing where Blue Peter would be proud of me. Here's where I don't like flashing. It's down the side of something like this, because it would never be there in particular. You see that down the side of that? That's just ugly. Well, it turns out the pips don't fit down the holes anyway, so cutting them off wasn't a terrible mistake after all. So I'll make sure they're actually cut off, and then we'll just glue those on. In many ways, these transformers are remarkably uninteresting to look at, because there's no flashing lights or whirling things. They just hum away in the background, minding their own business. You see, I'm learning. I've kept the pips, but they do fit. I don't like the flashing on these, I will say. The only colour I can imagine you would have on any of these would be identification of the phases. So the different places use different colors, but blue, yellow and red were common. Always interesting when you get them mixed up. There's a recent incident on a project I was working on. There was a house being extended, and the power cables came in from the street overhead, and one of the delivery trucks, I think they were actually delivering a bathtub, was it? I don't know, don't remember. It wasn't part of the job I was doing, but they delivered something, and as they jacked the crane up, they tore out one of the wires. It was the neutral, and you think, oh well, that will be fine, but it meant everything in the house fried, because the loads weren't even. Had they been even, it wouldn't have been a problem, but because they weren't, it meant all of a sudden there was much higher voltage across two of the phases than there would have been otherwise. And so their poor TV got almost twice the volts it was supposed to have, and it fried, the toaster went on fire, that kind of stuff. Big insurance job. Truck driver was not very happy bunny. So yeah, my job was to come in afterwards and clean the mess up. Quite a task. These thingies, haven't understood yet what they do. I think they hold the fins apart, do they? So these are radiators or heat dissipation doohickeys. And usually these are oil filled, and oil rushes through them, air goes through the vents, and everything gets nice and cool. Yes, all I can say, it's a good job you can't see them all, because I just picked one up and dropped glue all over it. So that one's got to be an inside one somewhere. Well, it doesn't look too bad. I think I'll just pop it on the layout and have a look-see though. Come on, let's have a look. Number of places it could go. I think it goes there. Logic, well, it's close enough. It got there after the track was torn up, so that makes sense. It's far enough back from this rail. We can move it back a little further. And it's close enough to the third rail without being striking distance. So yes, I think that's where it goes. We need to make sure we've got enough room for we don't need a fence around it. It's in the safety zone, as it were. Maybe something like that, or we could bring it this way a bit because the tracks get wider. Yeah, I think that looks all right. We'll have to decide which way round we put it. But yes, transformer won't just be grey. We need to add a little splash of colour here and there and see what we come up with. There it is, waiting for the paint to dry. I didn't show you all the painting because I'm still not very good at it. The insulators, I had a look, and that is the colour of the ones I can find pictures of. Do you see the very subtle wash on the radiators? You can see it better on the one on the right there. What I did is just popped a blob of paint on the top of each radiator and then ran it down. I'm gonna tilt, that's dry, so I can tilt it up. The top has got that mucky bird poo look that it has. The two black dots are simply their covers. I found one with those. There you can open the lid and have a look in. What else did I do? A little bit of silver paint on the brackets that hold things across. And remember, I was joking about the cistern. Well, I've given it a little bit of, is it dry? It better be, because I just picked it up. The conduit is black shiny, and the lid of the box has been, it wasn't dry. It now got silver paint on me. So that will go on there once everything's dry. The only other thing is there's a few transfers to go on. Some of them inappropriate for the English setting. So I'll leave that to dry and we'll see what happens next. I realize I didn't go into much detail about how... Poor Shadow. Can you hear her? She's whining. My wife has a card making class upstairs, and Shadow's realized there's people in the house and wants to go meet them. Not a chance, Shadow. She's standing there looking at the door and looking at me. You usually want to be in here with me. When the door's closed and you're on the outside, you want to come in, don't you? Oh, poor thing. And she'll sit there for the next hour sulking. As some of you will realise, some of the problems I have on the railway are simply lack of maintenance. The whole thing of the points not changing was simply me not knowing to change a battery once in a while. I didn't know it had one. In my defence, I have read through the instructions. It does make mention of if you hear this, then that. That's how I found out there is a battery in it. But those, yeah, Digitracks, I like them, but clearly run by engineers, not by marketing and salespeople, which I think is probably a good thing. But yeah, my fault. The other thing I need to do is to figure out on the programming track what that Digitracks chip needs to be told. You've seen me willy-nilly putting decoders into locomotives and saying, I'll get to that, and I haven't got to that. So now I've got a good half dozen. It occurred to me the other day that, you know what, that 47's got one of those chips too, because it came without one. And I'll bet there's one of those in Churchill as well, and I haven't looked at that. So there's anything I've put a chip in recently is one of those chips, and they're very start-stoppy, and the brake function, I like the computer to actually stop the train instead of just turning power off to it and letting it coast. So there's a lot of CV values that I'm going to have to figure out. It won't be difficult, and once I've done one, I'll just do the same to all of them, and then vary them accordingly. So again, lack of proper maintenance and lack of proper care in the first place is biting me a little bit, isn't it? Thanks for watching. I'm not sure where we got to other than that the transformer was finished. I've got to put the cables onto it yet, but we'll do that another day. Just me ambling along. The radio station is coming. I've got some interesting devices on order for that. See you next time.